Skinwalker Sighting. The Haunting of the Navajo Reservation. By the Darkness Diaries. I've always been a skeptic. Ghosts, aliens, monsters, they were all just stories to me. But after what I experienced in the Southwest, my perspective on the unknown has been forever altered. I was on a road trip with my best friend, Jake. We had decided to take a detour through the Navajo Reservation in Arizona, mainly because of the scenic beauty and the rich history of the area. We had heard tales of skinwalkers, but we laughed them off. They were just myths, right? Our first day on the reservation was uneventful. We visited a few local spots, interacted with some of the locals, and set up camp near a canyon. As night fell, we sat around our campfire, sharing stories and enjoying the serenity of the desert. Around midnight, Jake decided to turn in. I stayed up, mesmerized by the stars. The Milky Way stretched across the sky, and I felt a profound sense of peace. That is, until I heard it. A low, guttural growl echoed through the canyon. I froze, thinking it might be a coyote or a mountain lion. But then, I heard a voice. It was distorted, as if someone was speaking through a broken radio, but it was unmistakably Jake's voice. "Come here," it beckoned. Confused, I turned to our tent. Jake was sound asleep. The voice called out again, this time from the opposite direction. I grabbed a flashlight and shone it towards the source. What I saw will haunt me forever. Standing on a ridge was a figure. It looked like a man, but its limbs were elongated, and its eyes glowed a sickly yellow. It wore tattered clothing, and its skin was a mottled gray. But the most disturbing part was its face. It was Jake's face. I stumbled back, my heart racing. The creature mimicked Jake's voice again, "Come here." It took a step towards me, its movements jerky and unnatural. Suddenly, I felt a sharp pain on my arm. Looking down, I saw a deep scratch, blood oozing out. The creature had marked me. I bolted to the tent, shaking Jake awake. "We need to go, now," I hissed. As we sped away in our car, I glanced in the rearview mirror. The creature stood in the middle of the road, watching us, its yellow eyes glowing in the darkness. We didn't stop driving until we reached the nearest town. We checked into a motel, and I spent the night researching skinwalkers. The legends said they were witches who could take the form of animals or people, using their voices to lure victims. The next few nights were restless. I'd wake up to that same distorted voice calling my name, and the scratch on my arm seemed to burn and throb. It was clear that the creature had not only marked me but was now haunting my every move. Jake and I decided to consult a local Navajo elder. He told us that by interacting with the skinwalker, I had inadvertently invited it into my life. The only way to rid myself of its torment was to confront it and perform a purification ritual. With heavy hearts, we returned to the reservation. The confrontation with the skinwalker was terrifying, but with the elder's guidance, we managed to complete the ritual. The haunting ceased, but the scars, both physical and emotional, remain. The Southwest is beautiful, but it holds secrets that are beyond comprehension. And I'll never set foot on the Navajo reservation again. To all of you reading this, please, be careful when you venture into unknown territories. Some legends are rooted in truth, and some nightmares are very, very real. That Is Not My Dog, by Apathetic Capybara. I don't know what came back to my home, but I do know one thing: that is not my dog. So my father went on vacation and left me his dog, a beautiful Weimaraner named Bella. In case you don't know, Weimaraners are hunting hounds. They only really bond with one human and the rest are, at best, pack. The human Bella bonded with was my dad. Obviously, he's the one she spent most of her life with. But still, she listens to me. When I call, she comes. When I tell her to stay, she stays. Of course, a dog needs walking and that's fine. My dad's retired and so he always walks her at the same time. And she's used to that. She has trouble doing her business if it's not her time. So I try to accommodate that. My job has pretty comfortable times, so having her around just means I need to get up a few minutes earlier. There's a little strip of forest behind my home, so I can just open the terrace door, open the fence door and let her run. All fine, all good, until last Friday. I had to get up at an ungodly early hour that day. Even worse, when I woke up it was raining like crazy. The middle of the night and rain coming down in torrents. I was absolutely stoked to have to walk the dog, so I just put on some clothes and go outside with her, leaving the light on the terrace on but pulling the door shut so she doesn't run in with her paws all wet before I've had time to dry her off. I walk through the pouring rain into the garden fence. It's a tall fence, 7 feet and sturdy enough that you can't see through it. I unlock the door, shove it open, and Bella is off like a shot, the way she always is. The moment I step past the fence I realize how fucking stupid of an idea this was. I can't see shit. It's dark, so dark I can barely see. The little porch light doesn't reach past the fence. 2 steps out and I immediately trip over a route that I've apparently always avoided in better lighting. I want to go back but Bella's still out there, hopefully doing her business. So I walk out, stumbling around in the dark. My optometrist tells me that I'm very good at seeing in the dark, but between the forest, the early hour and the rain I can barely see 6 feet in front of me. A coworker introduced me to the Magnus archives recently, and the stories that always got me were the ones where people get stuck in these bizarre endless dreamscapes. I feel like I'm in one of these, an infinite plane of cold, dark wetness. I'm getting scared. I call out to Bella. My voice barely reaches my own ears through the pouring rain. Bella always comes when called, but clearly she doesn't hear me. I can't even tell if she's coming closer because the rain is louder than the rustling of her paws on the forest floor could ever be. Oh God, what if I can't find her? What if I'm late to work because of this? Should have just let her poop in the backyard. I call out to Bella some more to no avail. This is useless. I decide to go back home, grab a flashlight, and search for her properly. Stumbling and slipping, I feel more than find my way back to the fence and into the backyard and see the unmistakable shape of a Weimaraner backlit by the porch light. Smart dog ran back to the terrace when she couldn't find me and is waiting for me in front of the terrace door. Relief floods me. If you've ever been worried sick about something, and then you probably know the kind of relief I'm talking about. It's the kind that's like a warm shower over your back. I'm so relieved, in fact, that I don't question the red specks on Bella's snout. It's Sunday now and I'm certain that whatever showed up on my porch, it wasn't Bella. I only write this down now because I wasn't sure at first, but now I am. That thing looks like my dog, but it isn't. The first thing I noticed was the eating habits. Bella is not a picky eater and her sweet tooth is almost as big as mine. So long as it's sweet she wants a bite of it. But this thing doesn't. It only cares about meat. Dried meat won't do, either. The fresher the better. It refused Bella's kibble. It refused the jerky I keep around for Bella. At first I thought Bella was just being a bit prissy, but then I accidentally cut myself while chopping some veggies for dinner and the picky eater was suddenly right there, licking up the red. I was mostly just happy that she wanted something, so I didn't question it until I felt her teeth scraping at the wound to make me bleed more. I yanked my hand away in shock. Normally when she nips me she gets this really apologetic look, but this thing just stared at me as if offended that I was taking its delicacy away. The eyes were the next thing that tipped me off. Bella has these beautiful, soulful gray-green eyes, but this thing has eyes that are the most putrid shade of yellow. Its teeth are whiter and sharper than Bella's, too. But the looks this thing gives me. I firmly believe that dogs are incapable of being evil or mean. Even pit bulls, bred-killing machines that they are, think they're being good boys when they maul and kill. But when this thing stares at me it feels actively malevolent. I spent Saturday wondering why it didn't attack me in my sleep. I leave my bedroom door open for Bella so she doesn't wake me up at night by throwing herself against it. And she takes frequent advantage of that, coming into my room to lick my hand to get me to wake up and walk her. It's super cute, but this thing doesn't do that. It just stands right at the threshold, staring at me. Eventually, I got an inkling of why that might be the case. I keep a crucifix over my bedroom door. In fact, after trying it out I learned that whatever room I hang the crucifix up in, the thing pretending to be Bella refuses to enter it. The worst part is that I have no idea what this thing is. Is there such a thing as a skinwalker for dogs? Or is Bella still out there while I'm taking care of this creepy changing? I haven't walked this thing. I just open the terrace door and watch it. I often have birds coming into my garden, sparrows and blackbirds mostly. Bella has long since given up trying to catch them. She's just not fast enough. This thing is, though. It's already caught and mauled 3 blackbirds to death, 2 of them a couple. First, it killed the female, then it waited in ambush until the male came to grieve. The picky eater that didn't want its kibble devoured the birds without blinking. But the worst part is that I have no idea what I'm supposed to do about this. My dad's vacation ends on Wednesday. I can't very well hand that monster over to him. But I can't exactly get rid of it. I explored an abandoned train tunnel by my house and found a picture of my girlfriend. By Ron_Panda 122. For context, my girlfriend lives 5 hours away from me and we met online. I wanted to explore an abandoned train tunnel by my house for years and I finally grew the balls to do so. It was by an active construction site that I had to go through to access the tunnel. Luckily I have cased it for weeks and found out the shifts. I went on a Saturday, a day that the workers weren't there. I climbed the fence and went in the tunnel. The walls were covered in graffiti and smelled like sewage. I went deeper in and saw some garbage and disturbing messages in red spray paint like, "Killer clown up ahead," or, "Turn back now." Serial killer lair. I knew it was just some dumb teenagers acting like, well, dumb teenagers, so I kept going, which was a mistake. I get about halfway through when I noticed photographs of random women. I looked through the pictures and I stopped when I found one labeled with the date of that day. It was my girlfriend. I heard laughing and I've never ran faster in my life. I called her immediately and she said that she hasn't left her house at all today. I wanted to go back in, but who knows who or what took that picture. I can't even call the police since that tunnel is private property and I could get a pretty hefty fine for trespassing. This happened about 3 years ago and both me and my girlfriend are fine, but that still scares me when I walk past that tunnel, thinking what lies in there. I did research on the area and nothing came up about any stalking or anything of that sort. I did some image searching on missing people in the area and none of those pictures were of anyone missing in the past 20 years. I remember thinking, what the fuck? When I stumbled upon this next part. A police report filed an hour ago. It was a missing person case for all the women in the pictures. I remember one of the dates on the picture said September 23, 97, so how is there just now a police report? I was doing research on public records for hours and I found only one police report on a sketchy website. I don't know what to make of any of this and I want to figure out. My girlfriend and I are still terrified about this. We don't know who those people in the other pictures were and we don't want to know anymore. Maybe it's a hoax. Maybe it was a serial killer. Maybe it was even a skinwalker or Wendigo waiting for its next victim. Nevertheless, it scares us both and we try not to think about it or anything that'll remind us of it anymore. This is the first time I'm talking about it in 2 to 3 years and I'm getting chills just writing this. If I get any updates on this I will post them ASAP. Update January 21, 24. I went back to the tunnel with a friend. This time I explored the whole thing and we saw the pictures again. I looked through them and the one of my now ex-girlfriend was gone. I still don't know what to make of the situation. The Thing in the Dark. By a random guy 234. My dad is a farmer. We live in a mountain village so our fields are in remote areas. I was out with some friends and he came to pick me up. Before going home we would stop at a field to turn the water on. It was 1 in the morning and pitch black outside, but I was not afraid. I've been doing these things since I was a little kid. We got there. My dad came out with a flashlight to go and turn on the water pump, which we have to wait a few minutes to turn off. Now for me this was everyday things. I know the whole area like the palm of my hand. I knew who or what lived there. I was at my phone when I heard the loud noise of the pump and lifted my head up. I looked to the side view mirror and I saw my dad's flashlight pointed to the board of buttons that operated the pump and the other stuff. The pump and the other machinery are all inside a little brick space with some metal sheets for a roof. Because it was remote, the only source of electricity was from the generator we used to make the pump work. It had a small lamp, but it didn't work due to it having not being changed in a year. As I was waiting, I heard the pump stop. My dad's flashlight was coming closer, until it fell on the ground. Now there are a lot of wild animals there, so I guessed he saw something and he dropped it out of fear. I opened the light of the car and took out a switchblade he has in the glove compartment for situations like this. I got out. I took the flashlight and aimed it at the valves he was looking at, and they were untouched. I called out for him but no answer. My voice echoed like I was yelling my name on top of a mountain. You could hear it from meters away, but he didn't. Something wasn't right. I saw something move behind the close to each other orange tree rows. It moved fast, faster than a human. It moved again, switching trees so quickly like a beam of light. I quickly pointed the flashlight at the trees, but it wasn't there. It took my dad. If it took with ease a 2 meters tall bulk man, then I'm finished. I went to the car and locked everything. With the knife in my hands, I slid the seat all the way back and I hid under it. I closed the flashlight and I could hear the orange trees shaking and branches breaking. A sudden knock on the window. I can't look at it. I don't want to look at it. I want to see, but I can't. I'm paralyzed by fear. Another knock. Knock, knock. Then a voice, similar to my father's. It's telling me to come out and help it with some valves. I know it's not Dad. It can't be Dad. I saw him with a pointy tree branch stabbed in him. It's a skinwalker. I've only heard about them. I turned my head up. It had the head of a deer. Red eyes, painted horns, marks in the eyes. I'm dead. I will never see the light of day again. I pushed the door open and I knocked it. It quickly got up. It dashed into me. I stabbed it. It's bleeding. It fell on the ground. I ran. I ran to the road. It followed me. I shined the flashlight and it turned to dust. It's light. Its weakness is light. How was it not dead back at the trees? Is it because it is wounded? Questions filled my brain as I tried to understand. I stopped. I turned back. It has dropped something. A wooden flask. I went closer to it, shining my flashlight to it so it can't get it. I got it. I opened it and blood was inside. It became crazy when I opened it. I spilled it all to the floor. And I walked towards the light pole. 3 meters from there was a cabin. It's used by hunters. There will sure be guns there. But I can't go. There is no light. And my small flashlight is draining. I want to kill it. For my dad. For the other 10 people who were reported lost in this same area. It can't terrorize us much longer. I snapped out of the shock and terror. It just happened. I got all my senses back. I got my strength. But I'm still too weak. The knife can't do anything. I'm gonna use its weapons against him. Who am I kidding? I can't play the hero. I don't stand a chance against it. I post this while sitting in the center of the light pole waiting the morning. I may not see it. Goodbye.